Hi, so my name is Angel. Today we are going to study the anatomy of the eyes. Alright, so let's start. Alright, so eye is our organ of vision. That's how we see. Its complicated design means that an image can pass through its many layers and end up crisply focused on the back of the eye called the retina. Right? So the retina is covered with light-sensitive cells called rods and cones. Information on shape, color, and pattern is picked up by retina and carried to the brain via the optic nerve. So why are the eyes so important? Eyes are important for four main reasons. Sense of sight. Eyes are the primary organ of sight, allowing us to see and perceive up to 80% of our surroundings. Sense of taste. Eyes help determine how something tastes, especially for colors like red, orange, and yellow. For non-verbal communication, eyes are extremely important. Eyes can reflect our mood and health and are used in non-verbal communication, right? Eyes are also important for protection. When other senses like smell or taste are impaired, eyes can help protect us from the danger, right? So if we cannot smell something, we cannot taste something, we can certainly see something, right? And excess protection. All right. The eyes are the window to the soul, is a metaphor that suggests a person's feelings and emotions can be understood by looking into their eyes, right? When you look into someone's eyes, you know they're sad, they're happy, they're not sure, etc., etc. So eyes are windows to the soul, right? That includes anger as well, right? When someone's angry, you know, because you can look into their eyes, you can actually feel their eyes going really large, right? You can actually see the iris and the pupil expanding, right? Alright, so nonverbal communication, eyes are primary way people communicate their wants and needs and can provide information about person's feeling, intentions, and drives. The pupil response is extremely important. The pupils of the eyes adjust based on the emotions expectation. For example, when exploring an environment, pupils wide open to take in as much visual information as possible, right? Because that's like the information gathering organ, right? Eye contact is a major way people communicate, and infants learn about human interaction through eye contact with their parents, right? So the phrase is related to Bible verses Matthew 6:22-24, which says that eyes are the lamp of the body, which is true because it does bring in the light in our body, right? If you are blind, then chances are you'll see everything dark. Even when you close your eyes, you'll see the darkness within, right? I mean, not metaphorically speaking, but if you don't really have eyes, then it kind of becomes difficult. William Shakespeare, often credited with coining the phrase, and he often drew inspiration from the Bible for his plays, right? So he often was inspired, okay? So if you read his Romeo and Juliet, you read Macbeth, Othello, somewhere you will actually see some sort of reference to the eyes, right? All right. So what is the embryologic development of the eye? You can actually learn with mnemonic, right? So the embryonic tissue is here. These are the mnemonics, and these are the derivatives, right? The surface ectoderm, right? The mnemonic is level, right? So surface, level, okay? Lens, eyelid, skin, vitreous, epithelium of cornea, lacrimal glands. They're all from the surface ectoderm. They're all the derivatives of surface ectoderm. Neuroectoderm, neuromes, right? Remember that. Retina, optic stalk, nerve, muscles of iris, epithelium of iris, and ciliary body, secondary and tertiary vitreous, right? So that's romes, neuromes. Mesoderm, remember meso, muscles, extraocular, endothelium of blood vessels, sclera, temporal, ocular, primary, vitreous, right? Just remember that mesoderm stands for meso, extraocular muscles, right? Do not mix it with muscles of iris because that is from neuroectoderm, right? Neural crest, all the structures, cornea, stroma, endothelium, sclera, trabecular, meshwork, vitreous, melanocyte, ciliary muscle, ciliary ganglia, etc. Right? So that's a lens, that's a neural retina, that's interneurons, photoreceptor cells, ganglion cells, RPE. Lens vesicle, bilayered optic cup, that's the lens placode, right? neuroepithelium, optic vessels, mesenchyme, and surface ectoderm. Right, so slowly and gradually they build into the larger organs. All right, the light travels through the cornea. What is the mechanism of the vision? Like, how do you see it, right? Okay, let me move this here. Light travels through your cornea. Your cornea is clear dome-shaped protective layer at the front of your eye that can bend and refract light. So this is the cornea. As you can see, it can get scratched easily or become dry, making vision less clear. That's why we have those liquids that help us with dry eyes, especially when you're constantly looking into your computer for studies and work purposes, right? The light then travels through your pupil. It is controlled by the iris, right? So iris is the colored part of our eyes, right? Which is the colored part of your eye. Your pupil also controls the amount of light entering your eye. It dilates, becomes larger in low light, and constricts in bright light. Not surprisingly, your eyes are very sensitive to light, which is true. Your eyes are very. Anytime when you look directly into the sun, you won't be able to do it because our eyes are just not capable enough to look in directly into the sun, right? So the dilating, becoming larger, or becoming smaller is called as pupillary response, right? All right, light continues to travel through the lens where it bends and refracts again. The lens focuses light's rays for the retina, setting up to receive the image. At last, the light lands on your retina. So the light is landing on the retina, right? Um, at the center, fovea, where clarity of the vision is the sharpest. The retina sends all that information from the image to the optic nerve. Here somewhere is the optic nerve, and it goes in the back, right? The optic nerve transfers electrical signals from the retina to brain. Once nerve impulses reach the brain, the optical system has done its job. So it's kind of a one-way system, right? Next, the visual system in our brain takes over to give images their meaning, survey, environment, locate, recognize their target of interest, and then choose a plan of action. So the job of optic nerve is just to send in information. It is like a one-way information that's being sent. Okay? Alright, the different parts of the eye. Alright, so starting from the front of the eye, and various parts include conjunctiva, the thin membrane covering the eye, sclera, the whites of the eye, cornea, the clear front surface, aqueous humor, the fluid that fills the chamber just behind the cornea, iris, the colored part of the eye, which is a muscular ring, pupil, the hole inside the iris ring, the lens, the fine focus lens, the vitreous humor, thick jelly-like fluid that fills the eyeball and keeps it firm, retina, the curved back layer of the eye covered in light, sensitive cells called rods and cones that can see the shape, color, and pattern. Optic nerve sends information from the retina to the brain, right? So these are the muscles. That's the conjunctiva, that's cornea, that's lens, vitreous, optic nerve, macula, right here, retina, this is the retina. As you can see, this area is sclera, that's the pupil in the middle that dilates. Iris is a colored part. Alright, the conjunctiva is a thin layer, as you can see here. The conjunctiva is a thin layer, clear membrane that protects your eye. It covers inside of your eyelid and the white of your eye, the sclera. The conjunctiva creates a mucus layer that forms part of your tears. Conjunctiva is made of three parts: the palpebra conjunctiva, the bulbar conjunctiva, and the conjunctiva fornix. Alright, so there are three parts to the conjunctiva. Where is it located? The conjunctiva lines the inside of your eyelids, covers the white parts of your eyes. So it covers the white part, and they're right here, right? So this is the pupil in the middle here, right? So it covers it, protects it. What does the conjunctiva do? The conjunctiva protects and lubricates your eyes, right? It's a barrier between your eyes, vulnerable tissue, and anything that could irritate them, right? And that's why every time when we have irritation, it slowly and gradually moves, away from the cornea, and somewhere you'll kind of find it, near conjunctiva. You'll be like, oh, I can't pull it out, right? And conjunctiva covers the white part of your eye. The cornea covers the iris and the pupil, right? The conjunctiva works with your lacrimal glands, right? Meibomian glands to make your tears, right? The lacrimal glands make the watery part of the tears. The water liquid combines with mucus made by your conjunctiva and oil from meibomian glands to create tears. And at times, the tears may also taste a little salty, right? All right. What are the common conditions and disorders that affect conjunctiva? The most common condition that affects conjunctiva are pink eye, which is actually very common, and some subconjunctival hemorrhage. That is also very common. I've seen that. All right. So it's caused by allergens, irritants, bacteria, viruses, which treatment you'll need depends on what causes the irritation in your conjunctiva. Pink eye is very common, right? It's caused by allergens, irritants, bacteria, viruses. I remember one of my friends just used someone else's glasses, and that's how she got pink eye. Some subconjunctival hemorrhage is the medical term for a broken blood vessel on the surface of your eye. The red spots caused by conjunctival hemorrhage can look scary, but most causes do not cause any symptoms or need treatment. So, subconjunctival hemorrhage. So this is the subconjunctival hemorrhage for broken blood vessel on the surface of your eye. This can happen due to many reasons. This can happen due to injury, or it can also happen due to hypertension, which can make your blood vessels burst, right? Sclera, the whites of the eye. So this part is the sclera. The sclera is a white part of your eye. It's a protective covering that wraps over most of your eyeball. It extends from the cornea at the front of your eye to the optic nerve in the back, right? So it extends from the cornea at the front of your eye to the optic nerve in the back. So as you can see, it goes all the way in the back, yeah? The sclera is thin, only around 1 millimeter thick, the same as credit card. It's not very thick. But it's a strong protective layer of tissue that gives your eyes its white color, right? So it's a strong protective tissue. It protects and supports your eyes. The plural sclera is sclerae, right? You might want to use it if you're dealing with two eyes, right? A random pattern of collagen fibers layered on top of each other makes your sclera white. They are stacked, crisscrossing over each other, so they don't let as much light through as other parts of your eye. For example, collagen fibers in your cornea, the clear part at the front of your eye, are neatly organized, which makes them clear enough for you to see through, right? So collagen fibers in your cornea, the clear part at the front of your eye, are neatly organized, which makes them clear enough for you to see through. So it's because of collagen fibers that are very neatly organized. So they're stacked one over each other properly, which makes them clear. It's not crisscrossed, right? All right. Sclera has 4 layers sandwiched on top of each other and connected to other parts of your eyes. Episclera is a layer of clear, thin tissue. That's the outermost layer. Stroma, a layer made of a fibroblast and collagen fibers that blends into episclera. Lamina fusca, a transition layer between the sclera and the parts of your eye, including iris, choroid, and ciliary body parts of your uvea. The middle layer of the eye is the uvea. Endothelium, the basal or innermost layer of the sclera, right? So as you can see, these are the blood vessels in the episclera, right here, right? Tenons, this here is a tenons capsule. Here is episclera. This is scleral stroma, all right? A layer made up of fibroblasts, cells that make collagen fibers that bends into the episclera, right? These are the fibroblasts, all right? These are the collagen fibers. As you can see, it's very fibrous. These are the melanocytes and lamina fusca, right? It's transition layer between the sclera and the other parts of the eye, right? So including iris, choroid, ciliary body, parts of your uvea, the middle layer of eye, endothelium, the base or innermost layer of sclera, right? So endothelium is the basal or innermost layer of sclera. What type of tissue is sclera? The sclera is made of tough collagen fibers. Collagen is a protein that's main ingredient in your body's skin, muscles, bones, and connective tissues. The collagen fibers in your sclera crisscross each other in a random pattern that makes sclera strong and flexible. That web of collagen fibers is what makes the sclera white. Okay, so it's the web of collagen fibers that makes them white. So they are crisscrossed in a fashion where it may look like they're stacked on top of each other, but they're crisscrossed in a very sophisticated fashion, right? Tenons capsule, episclera, blood vessels in episclera, collagen fibers in longitudinal section. Here's the collagen fibers. That's a fibroblast, right? And that's lamina fusca. And this particular layer here is stroma. Cornea, the clear front surface of fixed focus lens is called as cornea. So this whole part is called cornea. The clear dome-shaped covering at the front of each of your eyes. The eye's version of a windshield, and keeps debris, germs, and more out. So it's not only just dust or anything. Anytime when you actually feel like something's, coming close to you, all of a sudden you start shutting your eyes. It just happens, all right? Its specific shape plays a key role in how your eyesight works and filters some UV rays, right? Located in front of a fluid-filled chamber of your eye, called the anterior chamber, which contains the aqueous humor. Behind the anterior chamber are your iris and pupil, followed by the lens. Surrounding your cornea is the sclera, and the white part of your eyes. Because corneas are the first line of defense for the surface of your eye, they're also prone to injuries and damage. Has fast, effective self-repair abilities, right? Layers of the cornea, epithelium, right? This is the outermost layer of cornea. It's a physical barrier between the inside of your eye and the outside world, and it's incredibly sensitive to pain. Cornea has about 300 to 600 times as many pain receptors as your skin. That sensitivity is extremely protective. It makes you react strongly to stop or remove whatever is hurting your eye. So it is because of the sensitivity, it helps protect our eyes, right? Bowman's layer, this is a tough layer made mostly of collagen, right? Again, collagen is actually playing a big role in our eyes, right? It's there to provide structure and help your cornea hold a shape, right? Stroma, this is the thickest layer of cornea. It strengthens your cornea structure and helps bend, refract light, and focus it into your retinas, right? Let's not forget that eyes are nothing but just an organ. The real image analysis happens in the visual cortex, right? So it is extremely important to make sure the angle of refraction, light, and focus is perfect into your retinas, right? If for some reason you cannot see anything clearly, then chances are your brain will not be able to figure anything out. Like let's say you're trying to look at a title or a car registration plate. Chances are you won't be able to see anything from far, maybe because you cannot read anything, and that's why your analysis will be impacted because you can't see it, right? So focus is extremely important. Pre-descendants layer, PDL. Another name for this is DOA's layer. Research indicates it's airtight, which means it's a very strong barrier separating the fluid inside your eye and the air from the outside world. Descemet's layer, this layer is thin and stretchy, but also remarkably strong, right? It's important to your eye structure and helps protect the inside of your eye from injury and infection. Endothelium, this layer is mainly responsible for fluid balance in your cornea and the inside of your eye. It helps make sure there's just enough water and fluid and stroma for your cornea to work as it should. How the layers work together. The magic of cornea is all the layers working together properly. The cornea's layer work together like laminated glass, making the cornea strong, right? So each and every layer on top of each and every other layers makes it very, laminate glass-like structure. Each layer has a specific job, but the cornea's strength comes from how the layers work together, right? Damage to epithelium or Bowman's layer can cause scarring, right? So as you can see, the first is epithelium, then we have Bowman's layer, then we have stroma, then we have Descemet's membrane, and then we have endothelium, which connects cornea to all the different parts of the eyes, right? Cornea, pupil, sclera, iris. All right, so the color part is iris and the lens, right? So our eyes work like cameras, basically. That's what it is. And this part here is the retina, where the image is going to be refracted right into the retina. Excuse me. What are common corneal disorders? Dry eyes are very common. The epithelium of your corneas needs tear fluid to work properly. Tear fluid provides lubrication for your eyes surface and helps the epithelium absorb oxygen from the air. Dry eye is painful and it can disrupt your eyesight, right? At times when you're burning your candles, all of a sudden you kind of feel like my eyes are burning too. Why? Because eye surface helps the epithelium absorb oxygen from the air, right? So there is a reason behind it. Dry eyes can be caused due to multiple reasons. I've also seen people with dry eyes, usually do not drink a lot of water, and hence they have dry eyes, or they use a lot of computer, or they're looking at their cell phone very close, and it has a direct impact on their eyes, right? Infections. Damage to your cornea surface makes it easier for germs, including viruses, bacteria, fungi, and parasites to cause infection. One example is parasitic infection, acanthamoeba keratitis, right? So this particular infection may cause inflammation of cornea. This is a parasitic infection. Redness of skin surrounding eye. As you can see, this is a bloodshot eye, which means the blood vessels are impacted. There is a discharge. Any kind of yellow or pus-like discharge should be a red flag. Okay, discharge plus the blood vessel should be, a red flag. That itself shows some sort of infection. Okay. All right, aqueous humor, the fluid that fills a small chamber just behind the cornea. This is sclera, retina, optic nerve, vitreous body right here. This particular is the lens, right? This is the aqueous humor right here. Cornea, iris, right? The color part, and ciliary muscles. This area, the dome shape is cornea. This area here, particular area, is aqueous humor. Aqueous humor flows in and out of the front of your eye. Its job is to keep proper ocular pressure, eye pressure in your eye. The pressure is maintained by having the same amount of fluid come in as the amount of fluid leaving the front of your eye. The fluid fills the interior and the posterior chambers of your eyes, right? So the main job is to keep it aqueous. Okay, location of aqueous humor. Your eye has an interior chamber, which is the area between your lens and cornea, right? So this is the lens, and this is the lens, this is cornea, and this is aqueous humor right here, right? In the posterior chamber, the ciliary body makes aqueous humor. Okay, so in the posterior chamber, ciliary body makes the aqueous humor. That fluid moves through your pupil to the front of your eye, and then drains out your eye into your bloodstream, right? Drains out of your eye into your bloodstream. It leaves your eye through the scleral venous sinus. So it leaves your eyes through scleral venous sinuses, so sclera has venous sinuses, right? So your eyes also have a drainage system, basically. Conditions of the aqueous humor, we have glaucoma, all right? Glaucoma refers to damage of the optic nerve, which an increased aqueous fluid buildup and high pressure in your eye causes, right? Glaucoma is the second leading cause of blindness in the world, so don't take it for granted when you kind of feel that there's an increased aqueous fluid buildup and high pressure in your eye, right? Abnormalities in the eye's drainage system that causes fluid to build up, pressure on the eye, family or hereditary history of glaucoma can also cause glaucoma, right? But main is abnormality in the eye's drainage system. So glaucoma is directly associated with the drainage system failure of the eyes. Blurred or hazy vision, as you can see here, this vision looks very blurry. Halos or bright circles around the lights, as you can see, halos or bright circles, especially at night. Difficulty seeing in low light. Painful red eyes without discharge. Pain or soreness in the eye that can radiate to the head. Nausea and vomiting. Sudden loss of vision, usually in one eye. All right. Open angle glaucoma, the most common type where fluid doesn't flow out of the eye properly, right? So that this is the open angle glaucoma. Angle closure glaucoma, also called narrow angle glaucoma. This type occurs when the drainage space between the iris and the cornea becomes too narrow. Okay. this particular is an open angle glaucoma, the most common type where fluid doesn't flow out of the eye properly, right? So this to me seems to be an open angle glaucoma. Okay, so iris, the color part of the eye, which is muscular ring. The iris is the color part of your eye. Muscles in your eye iris control your pupil, the small black opening that lets light into your eyes. The color of your iris is like your fingerprint. It's unique to you and nobody else in the world has exact same colored eye as you. The color of your iris is like your fingerprint, right? The iris surrounds the pupil at the center of your eyes. This is the collarette. These are the radial furrows, pupil and ciliary zones. Okay, these are the crypts, as you can see right here. Okay, the iris is the part of your eye that's colored. It's flat and round. Your eye color depends on how much melanin, a naturally occurring pigment your body makes, in certain genes. The genes that determine your eye colors are passed down from your biological parents. So your eye color is more or less because of your biological parents, right? What is the iris made of? The iris is made of muscles and nerves. They work on their own without you thinking about them, parasympathetically, to control the size of your pupil. What are conditions and disorders that can affect the iris? Aniridia is a rare genetic disorder that causes iris to be missing or underdeveloped. It affects both eyes and present from birth. As you can see, there's an impact of both the eyes. What is the cause? A mutation in the PAX6 gene, which is responsible for eye development, inherited from a parent with aniridia, new mutation in the gene, right? Symptoms: large pupils. As you can see, these pupils are very large, right? Irregular pupil, as you can see, there is, irregularity in the pupils. Light sensitivity, poor vision, progressive visual deterioration. So your vision is degraded, on a daily basis. One day is worse than the day before. Nystagmus and involuntary movement of the eyes, right? So your eyes do not move voluntarily, so your eyes will be moving sideways or up and down, or sometimes with no pattern, so those are involuntary movements, right? Pupil, the hole inside the iris ring, the dark hole inside the iris is your pupil. The pupil of your eye is the black hole in the middle of your iris. Your iris is the colored part of your eye. Muscles in your iris control how big the pupil is. Usually this happens because of how much light is available, right? This makes the pupil an important part of your vision system, right? The pupil of your eye is the black hole in the middle of your iris, right? Muscles in your iris control how big the pupil is. Sometimes it may stretch and become larger. Sometimes it may stretch and becomes, smaller, depending on how much light you have, So if you're trying to understand something, your pupil will literally get larger because you're trying to soak in all the information and send it to your brain through your optic nerve. What does the pupil do? The pupil's function is to allow light into the eye and adjust the amount of light that enters, right? It's important that we allow the light to enter, and that's how we'll see it. Otherwise, how do we see it in the dark, right? The pupil size changes in response to the amount of light in the environment, okay? If you're walking in the dark, room, you will kind of tend to open your pupils more, just to get a little extra help, right? But if there is no light, even pupil cannot do anything, right? Because we don't have that night vision. All right. So how the pupil works: light levels in low light, the pupil dilates to allow more light in, right? In bright light, the pupil constricts to reduce the glare and protect the retina, right? Because we don't want to increase the refraction index, right? The name of this reaction is pupillary light response. When the pupil goes larger and then pupil goes smaller, that's the pupillary light response, right? So as you can see, this is normal light, this is bright light, and this is dim light, right? So if you are in a dark room, your pupils will go larger because you're trying to understand something. If it's too bright, the pupils relax. It will go smaller. Why? Because pupil is trying to protect your retina from any damage from the UV radiations, right? The iris dilator muscle opens the pupil while the iris sphincter muscle closes it. So there are two muscles, dilator muscles and sphincter muscles, right? Dilator muscle opens it, remember DO, right? And while the iris sphincter muscle closes it, so remember SC, DOSE, right? Involuntary movement. The autonomic nervous system controls the pupil's involuntary movements, right? How the pupil contributes to the vision. Light passes through the pupil and hits the retina. The retina converts light into electrical signals, right? The brain receives electrical signals and turns them into images, right? So as you can see, the light passes through the pupil and hits the retina. Retina converts light into electrical signals, so the brain receives electrical signals and turns them into images, right? So we have light converting into electric signals, converting into images, right? All right, what are the common conditions and disorders? Marcus gun pupil, also known as relative afferent pupillary defect (RAPD), is a condition in which the pupil of one eye dilates instead of constricting when light is shined on it. This happens because of a problem with the retina or optic nerve. Causes retinal detachment, retinal ischemia, optic neuritis, and tumors of the pineal region, right? Those are the causes: retinal detachment, retinal ischemia, optic neuritis, and tumors of the pineal region. Okay, abnormal pupillary response to light. So rather than going large in dim light, okay, and smaller in bright light, it would have an abnormal response, right? Less contraction in the affected eye when light is shined on it, so there is less constriction, right? When anybody shines light, which happens a lot, right? We go to the doctor and that's what they do. You can actually see less constriction. Your pupil's not getting constricted. Paradoxical dilation in affected eye when light is shined on it. So you'll see a little bit of paradoxical dilation. Diagnosis: a medical professional can detect a Marcus gun pupil using the swinging flashlight test, right? Treatment depends on the underlying cause. For example, optic neuritis may improve on its own, while glaucoma may require eye drops, laser treatment, or surgery. All right? Lens, the fine focus lens. The lens of the eye is like the lens of a camera. It's the part that focuses and transmits light to the back, where sensors convert it into visual data. The lens is a clear curved structure that's embedded deep within your eye or camera. It absorbs light and bends it to converge at a single point behind it. This focuses the light for the sensors at the back, whether that's a camera film, digital sensors, or in your eye, the retina, right? So it absorbs light and bends it to converge at a single point behind it, right? As you can see right here. This is the lens, so it's bending it and it's focusing on one single point right here, right? As you can see. All right, so crystalline proteins give the eye lens its clarity and transparency. All right, so they're a crystalline protein, allowing it to focus incoming light into the retina behind it. So these proteins actually make it transparent and allow it to focus on one single point right here. So there is a focal point in the retina. What is the function of the eye lens? So the eye lens absorbs focus, it directs incoming light to the retina, and light-sensitive tissue in the back of your eye changes its shape automatically to focus on objects at different distances, right? It can make itself flatter or rounder to bend incoming light from the different distance toward a single point. This is how it fine-tunes your focus. The lens provides about 30% of your eye focus. Your cornea provides this other 70%. The lens of the eye sits just behind your pupil, as you can see right here. This is your cornea. This is your pupil, right? Which is the dark spot in the middle of your iris, right? The colored part of your eye. So the colored part of the eye This middle part is your pupil, right? So lens of the eye just sits behind iris and the pupil, right? Right here. What common conditions or disorders affect the lens of the eye? Cataracts are very common, right? Cataracts are cloudy areas in the eyes, as you can see right here. This is the eye with the cataract. Cataracts are cloudy areas in the eyes lens that can cause vision loss. They can affect one or both the eyes, and symptoms include blurry or double vision, halos around the lights, difficulty seeing at night, faded colors, trouble reading, sensitivity to glare, frequent changes in eyeglass prescriptions. Cataracts are very common. People as they age, more than half of Americans over 80 have had cataract or cataract surgery. Well, not only in senior citizens, but I have also observed some children 13 and above may also have cataracts. Okay, so it's not just restricted, although the likelihood of them having is less, but they do exist. All right, so vitreous humor, thick and jelly-like fluid that fills the eyeball and keeps it firm. So vitreous humor is right here. So now we are going from front to the back, all right? The vitreous humor, also called the vitreous fluid, is a clear gel-like substance that's located in your eye. All right, so right here. It takes up the space between your eye's lens and the retina, this whole thing. The vitreous cavity is the name of the space. This whole area is the vitreous cavity. The vitreous humor helps your eye keep its shape, contains salts, sugar, proteins, collagen, in addition to water, phagocytes, or cells that help keep your eyes clean. They have phagocytes, right? Or cells that help keep your eyes clean, all right? All right. So before anything, gets transported from optic nerve, inside, this is actually the place where, if there is an issue, phagocytes may come and engulf the infection. All right, what are the common condition disorders that affect the vitreous humor? Posterior vitreous detachment, PVD, is a common eye condition that occurs when the vitreous gel separates from the retina. It's a natural part of aging and usually doesn't threaten sight. Symptoms: floaters can appear as dots, lines, circles, clouds, or cobwebs. Flashes of light, usually at the side of your vision, right? Blurred vision is also very common. The causes can be age-related changes to vitreous gel, right? Short-sightedness, eye injury, and previous eye surgery, all right? So, vitreous PVD, posterior vitreous detachment. As you can see, the vitreous is detaching itself from the retina, right? Its gel separates, it's just coming off, right? Floaters, which can appear as dots, right? Flashes of light, usually at the side of your vision. Blurred vision, at times you can't see anything clearly, right? And the reason why that happens is because, the light refracted in the retina is impacted due to the detached. Okay, retina, the curved back layer of the eye covered in the light-sensitive cells called rods and cones that can see shape, color, and pattern. So this is retina, right? It has rods and cones. As you can see, this is a rod, this is a cone. As you can see, this is the optic nerve, right? So it can see colors and patterns. Your retina is in the back of your eye behind your iris and lens when the focus is just right. The light rays converge just as they land on your retina. The retina is a layer of cells at the back of your eyeball that converts light into nerve signals, right? It then sends those signals along your optic nerve to your brain. Your brain processes those signals into a sense of vision. What does the retina do? Your retina senses light and sends signals to your brain. This happens because the light detecting cells called photoreceptors convert light into coded signals. Your brain receives those signals, decodes them, and uses them to build the big picture view you see with your sense of vision. So your brain's just receiving those signals. So light gets converted into electrical signals, right? And brain just decodes those electrical signals and builds the bigger picture and does the analysis part. That's why retinal damage can change the way the world looks, leave gaps in your vision, or cause total blindness. So retina is extremely important because light travels directly into it, right? And that's where it's sent to electrical signals via optic nerve, and the brain analyzes it. What are the parts of retina? Macula is a very important part of retina, right? This is the macula, as you can see this area. The cones in your macula are essential for seeing colors and fine details, right? This vision allows you to do things like read, see faces, and drive. Peripheral retina, your peripheral retina allows you to see the side when you're looking straight ahead, right? So it gives you side eyes. So when you're looking on the side, you're actually using a peripheral retina. The rods in your peripheral retina also help you see in low light, right? Okay. All right. So what are the common condition disorders affect retina? Hypertensive retinopathy. HR is damage to the retina caused by high blood pressure. It can lead to vision loss and other complications. Symptoms may be blurred vision, double vision, headaches, loss of vision, dim vision, small dark spots in the vision, cloudy vision, temporary total vision loss. Causes can be high blood pressure that's been consistently high for a long time. Other conditions like heart disease, diabetes, high cholesterol, being overweight, eating an unhealthy diet, smoking, heavy alcohol consumption, etc. Optic nerve sends information from the retina to the brain. The optic nerve is comprised of millions of nerve fibers that send visual messages to your brain to help you see. You have an optic nerve at the back of each eye that connects directly to your brain. Each optic nerve is a one-way connection, and it only carries signals from eyes to your brain. Some of the signals in the optic nerve also contribute to other abilities and brain processes. Your optic nerve carries visual information from your retina to your brain, right? So your optic nerve carries visual information from your retina to your brain, okay? What is the purpose of the optic nerve? The optic nerve sends electrical impulses from the retina to the brain. It is a one-way connection that only carries signals from the eyes to the brain. Some signals in the optic nerve also contribute to other brain processes, right? So as you can see, this gentleman here is looking at the green apple, right? And he thinks that, oh, it's a delicious green apple. But he's actually using his eyes to look at it. As you can see, there is a focal point created, a refraction right here in the retina. That information is taken by an optic nerve into lateral geniculate nucleus, right? LGN is a part of the thalamus that relays visual information from the retina to the primary visual cortex. It's a key structure for visual processing, including color, motion, and shape, right? And then the lateral geniculate nucleus takes it forward to the visual cortex. This area is a visual cortex where, the brain analyzes it, understanding the shape, color, patterns, etc. And gives you the bigger picture, That's how your brain says, oh, this is an apple, right? There you go. Damage to the optic nerve can cause vision loss, right? The type and severity of vision loss depends on where the damage occurs. The damage can affect one or both the eyes, right? Inflammation. Optic neuritis is inflammation of the optic nerve. Optic neuritis can be a sign of multiple sclerosis, right? Infections or immune disease like lupus. Most people who experience optic neuritis recover their vision without treatment. Optic neuritis, inflammation of the optic nerve that can cause blurred vision, pain, and blind spots. Optic neuritis is often associated with MS, but it can also be caused by infections, diabetes, or blood vessel inflammation, right? So this is the normal optic nerve. As you can see, this is the inflammation of optic nerve, all right? So that's optic neuritis. All right, mechanism of vision, all right? The mechanism of the vision is a process by which light is converted into electrical signals that brain interprets as images, right? Steps of vision: light enters the eye. Light passes through the cornea, the transparent surface of the eye. The pupil adjusts. The pupil The pupil, the black opening in the front of the eye, controls how much light enters the eye. The lens focuses the light into the retina, the light-sensitive layer of tissue at the back of the eye. Photoreceptors convert light to electrical signals. Special cells in the retina called photoreceptors convert light into the electrical signals, right? Optic nerve transmits the signals to the brain, right? The optic nerve transmits electrical signals from the retina to the brain. The brain interprets the electrical signals as images. The brain combines a slightly different views of the world from each eye to create one picture, right? So you're looking at an apple, you're saying to yourself, that's green, it has a stalk, it looks juicy, I'd like to eat it, etc., etc. The brain also adds details to your vision, such as depth, how green color it is. Is it dark green? Is it light green? Etc. etc. Or, what is the size and shape of it? Does it move on its own? Or do I have to use some force to move it, right? So it helps you analyze different objects. The brain connects your sense of sight to things you already know, right? The reason why you're calling it a green apple is because you already know there are green apple that exists, right? So that's how the brain connects your sense of sight, right? Because it also remembers what you've seen before. So you can use the same concept in human anatomy. If you keep on seeing things again and again, your brain will remember it, right? So that's just how your body is made. So you have to do it again and again and again, okay? All right. All right. So this was the anatomy of eye and what is the mechanism of vision, made easy with pictures and mnemonics. All right. So if you like the video, please like, share, comment. You can subscribe, and also go ahead and comment and tell me what other videos you would like to see. Okay. Bye.